Hi lovelies, and welcome to my channel, and welcome back if you are returning. Now in this video I wanted to do a catch up after a bit of an absence. Summer is always so busy, I get very limited time to film, hence the lack of videos. But today I thought I'd come back with a catch up and an August happies. Now August, gosh, I love August. I am a summer girl. Summer has always been my favourite season, right the way back from a kid to now as a mom. I love August. I love getting to spend unbroken days with my kids, and it's just glorious, I think, summer. So August happies is always just wonderful to share, and this August it just seemed to be full of magic. It seemed to be full of revelations, it was full of divination, it was full of signs, and it was magical. So I can't wait to share this update and all the wonderful decks that I used as well. So we're going to rewind all the way back to the very beginning of August. So the swap over into August saw me covered in paint, mostly trying to fix this balcony at my caravan. You can see the wood is going rotten, it's in desperate need of cleaning, some panels need replacing. Those iron railings, they fall apart every couple of years with the salt air coming off the sea. They were desperately in need of pairing it all back and repainting. It takes ages, this job. So that first week of August I was without the kids, they were with their dad, so it just seemed a perfect opportunity to just try and get on top of this job, which I didn't. I got about halfway through it, but yeah, it was a tough week. That first week of August I really felt the absence of the kids. I do every year, to be honest, and this year was no exception. I think it's very hard to come down from the crazy end of school year, especially this year with changes with Tilly's school, and to be at that frenetic pace, and then for it suddenly all to stop and you're completely on your own just with the dogs. But I disappeared off to the caravan and I was a bit sad at times. I did feel a bit lonely, even with these two troublemakers. You can see I've already done the iron railings on this balcony. I've decided to paint the uprights this turquoise blue. So all of that kept me busy, and changing the colour of the balcony really helped. It's always been brown the whole time I've owned the caravan, which is over 10 years now. So to do all the uprights blue, it felt like I was reclaiming my space. It really did. So as we swapped into August, I also changed up my decks. I moved away from my watery decks to the decks that you can see me using. This was my first week ahead spread right at the start of August, so you can see me here using the Cozy Witch Tarot, and I absolutely loved working with this deck during August. So the Cozy Witch Tarot, it's just got the most gentle, wonderful energy, and it worked really well with my week ahead spread, which is what my tarot practice really has focused around for the whole of August. I've been continuing to use my week ahead spread as the key anchor and focus in, and I think the pictorial elements of the Cozy Witch Tarot just worked incredibly well. It worked brilliantly to brainstorm the cards from, and the reading in general. So those are my 4 key cards for the first week of August. That was my underlying energy. The oracle deck that I brought in to work with it was this Ancient Stones oracle. Again, this has probably been my most used oracle of the summer. Absolutely wonderful. The Calyx card came out for something to let go of. And then this sacred sanctuary, like a sacred rock circle sanctuary card came out, which really fitted in with that idea of turning my caravan balcony into a sort of new sanctuary for me. It also led me into doing household jobs at home as well, trying to get my house back into kind of a sanctuary feeling before I left for another whole week up at the van with the kids and the kids' friends as well. There were lots of teenagers in the van over the summer, which was just so wonderful. Now, these two decks together, the Cozy Witcher Tarot and the Ancient Stones Oracle, not necessarily would they look like they go visually together, but oh my goodness, to tarot journal from them and to brainstorm them together, they really did sing together. Some of my key takeaways were like to develop sanctuaries, also to really step into a gratitude practice, which I continued the whole time at the van with all the kids, and oh my gosh, it was just so wonderful to do. So gratitude, working with stones as well, like stone scrying, stone meditation as well, that came out of this reading, and just taking things one step at a time, not being too stressed about things. Bringing meditation in, that need to ground as well. It was all in there for this week. One job at a time, stay calm. Really good advice when you're at a caravan as the only adult with lots of teenagers. The idea of scrying with stones also led me back to my altar, to the Weaver's card that I'd done some stone work with, and as I sat down, a white stone fell out of my bag that I'd collected the week previously on the beach. So I did a stone scrying with that white stone, and the messages that came out were incredible. It saw me reaching for my Rose Alchemy Oracle, also the Destiny Tarot as well, to pull another reading around the messages of that. In fact, if I bring you over to my altar in this side of the room, you can see it's quite busy. There's been quite a bit of work done over here in August. Like I say, it's been just an incredibly magical month. This is something else that happened as well. Was this August or was this the start of September? I'm not sure. Hopefully I'll share a video about this if you are interested in some candle magic and tarot. But at the back, I've still got my Rose Alchemy card out. Oh my goodness, guys, this was beautiful. And the message from the Destiny Tarot, alongside my week ahead spread, alongside that, kind of tying in with a rollover from the messages from the Weaver's Oracle and this gorgeous Contemplate card from the Ritual Oracle. All absolutely incredible. You can see I've also got a Labyrinth card out for August. Honestly, everything tied in with everything else. It was a continual conversation that ran over spreads, it ran over decks, it ran over experiences, it ran over whispers from nature. I think to find that continual story without a break across a month is so magical. And stones, now I had already said in one of my videos that I was blown away by a meditation with the Weaver's card, but I just randomly grabbed two stones, and surprisingly in this stone I saw a mirror of the woman in this card, and in this other stone here I could see a face with a moon, which mirrored this card here. That blew me away, and it was the first time that I'd ever thought about using my stone collection for like sort of meditation or scrying with. And like I said, when I sat down to work with the Destiny deck over here and the Rose Alchemy Oracle, I thought, wow, I'm going to stone scry as well. I grabbed a heart stone out of my collection. I love heart stones. And as I bent down to kind of clear my space, on my chair there was my handbag, and out the handbag fell this stone, which, like I said, I collected on the beach on the previous week when I was at the Caravan on my own. And oh my goodness, stones scrying around that meditation with this stone was incredible. The entire shape-shifting story of this Weaver's card appeared within this stone, with messages of letting go, of taking leaps, of moving on, of crossing liminal space. And it was amazing, it was incredible, and it really set me up for a really magical week back in Wales at the Caravan, this time with all the children. And I think these two meditations, firstly with these two stones and then adding in these two, just immediately put stone scrying as really an important part of my practice. Like within a few weeks, this is a big part of my practice. And it's funny because when I pulled that stone circle sanctuary card, I thought, oh, I might visit a stone circle. Little did I know that I'd got stone circles already next to me. This literally became like my own personal stone circle, and I thought it was amazing. I also want to show that I have been taking some buttercup flower essence that I made as well during August. Joy and confidence and Queen of Wands energy. Definitely it was a supporter of joy within August. The message of joy was also mirrored in that sanctuary card, and the joy and sanctuary. I decided to make sure my house was a sanctuary before I left for the Caravan. So all the blackberries that were desperate to be picked in the front garden before I left, I picked all of those, washed them, filled the freezer up with them. I made sure I did all my hand washing. I love unique clothes and embroidered clothes, but it always needs hand washing. I made sure that the mounds of dishes were done before I left. So I spent a few days before we left for our return to the van really focusing on that word sanctuary, really getting jobs sorted and done. I stripped sofas and washed sofa covers. I stripped beds and got beds all washed and clean. And eventually, with the sanctuary left at home, we turned back up for the second time in August, this time me with the kids and their friends, to my sanctuary in Wales, which has got this beautiful view from my now newly painted balcony. This place is a real meeting of air and water for me. It's elemental magic, it's liminal space, it's my saving space, and I love it here, especially when I've got the kids with me. And oh boy, did we spend some amazing days here together, eating at our favourite cafe here right on the beach. We spent hours every day in the ocean. We did cliff railway visits. We survived some of the biggest waves I've ever seen. The kids did picnics near caves. They did escape rooms. They laughed their socks off in arcades on an arcade game playing morning. We visited haunted mines as well. Oh, it was so lovely to watch my kids and their friends just have a beautiful summer time together in a beautiful setting, and it gave me a chance to really practice my gratitude, which I did via this spread. Now, this was the week ahead spread that I pulled midweek while we were on that week in August. Again, you can see I used the Cozy Witch Tarot. This time I added in the Destiny deck because I loved it so much at my altar. I stuck with the Ancient Stones Oracle as well, and I just pulled some beautiful cards about the idea of grounding and gratitude. This reading also brought into play the idea of the High Priestess energy as a resting energy, which was a really interesting way of looking at High Priestess energy. I thought, and also a push to ask myself what I want now that life is changing. There was also an experience where I pulled the hagstone card and then found a hagstone on the same day, and it was a call to kind of reshape my life, which included asking myself, what do I want from life? Part of that is art. So that day I got that question, I took all the kids up to Aberystwyth Art Centre. We had a lovely time there. This exhibition upstairs was incredible. This is an artist who was using fallen pieces of trunk from fallen trees to find the hidden landscape within a tree. What a beautiful concept for artwork, and I just think the pieces all together were really quite stunning. I think what she'd done is she used the grain that she was seeing to find the pictures within, I suppose, a bit like we do with tarot cards. We see the imagery and we find the story within. Downstairs I had a second chance to look at this exhibition, a ceramics exhibition, which I'd initially seen on a University Open Day visit with Poppy, which was very rushed that day. So it was nice to see that the exhibition was still there, and I got to see some moody cats and some wild boars drawn and sculpted. A really unusual exhibition that just screamed sort of animal spirit work to me, or the mythology that can be held within creatures that aren't mythological. Boars and pigs and cats, and there's a man and the kids' feet all ambling around. They're so used to me now saying, look, there's an exhibition, and running around excited. So that was really fun to see that. Look, lazy cats, how cool are they? I just loved this. And look, the artwork, a cat turned mythological. You can see it right there. So it was the most wondrous second part of August. I think the memory for me this year, and I know definitely for the kids as well, is the ocean. We spent so much time in the ocean, it's not even funny, every day. And the last day, the day we came home, we decided to have one last morning down in the sea, and the waves were some of the biggest waves I've ever been in. It was spectacular. It was so much fun. So I think being in the sea, being in the Welsh Sea this summer is my favourite and biggest memory. Also using my handmade tarot journal. This was just a lovely way to start every morning. I would wake up early. The boys were on fold-out beds in the lounge in the Caravan, so I would creep out early to walk the dogs. And I did my grounding barefoot walk as well on grass, so as not to wake them as well, which was a really beautiful practice as well that started in August. But then I would come back and make a quiet cup of coffee and sit and pull cards and write in my journal. It was just a really quiet way to start the day, and it was so gorgeous. I have loved my journal as well. There's been so much work gone into here around that week ahead spread and brainstorming and gratitude. So that last week there really was a pull, not only to ground and to rest as well, to rest in amongst the joy, I think was the message, which was really needed as the only adult there, but also that pull to gratitude. It kind of felt like high priestess energy, but found within rest, joy and gratitude. That's what it felt like. And I spent the whole of that week every morning adding to a gratitude list, which in the end, if I can find it, filled up an entire page. That was my gratitude for that week, and it was wonderful. There's things like 3 blackberries, all my blackberries in the front garden, the kids having friends at the van. New shoes, I bought a new pair of shoes. Stone people, finding people in stones. Swimming in the sea is on there. Watching Tangled with Tilly in the van on DVD, I loved that. Some quiet time with my journal and the cards. The dog walking field, so grateful to have that right next to the van. Friday evening waves, late Fridays in the ocean, and a sunny Friday. We had sunshine. Mamma Mia, we played Mamma Mia on repeat, the movie, so many times in the van. Art galleries, a third beach evening, so we were in the sea not only in the morning but in the evenings as well. Escape rooms, so the kids went to a local escape rooms up by the haunted caves that I did a video about last year. They've now opened escape rooms there, so all the kids went and did an escape room, which they loved. Beach mornings, singing Moana songs in the waves. Oh, that was so much fun. Me and 3 teenagers in the waves singing Moana at the top of our lungs. Just wonderful, wonderful memories. Games in the ocean, sharks, star floating, piggybacks, synchronized wave divings. Just so many gorgeous memories for that second week of August. They're memories to be cherished, and I really do. And of course you saw this one, the Destiny deck, come into play. So this is by Lisa Santine. You can see her website is there. This one took me by surprise. You can see it's got this lovely sort of muted gilding. Yeah, this one really took me by surprise, pairing it with this deck. Look, you can see, they're all embossed. They're absolutely beautiful. Slightly more pippish. This one comes with keywords on. These are the gorgeous, beautiful backs. These two decks together absolutely blew me away. So the Destiny Net deck kind of came into play just out of the blue randomly. My altar, and it did just blow me away. The reason I brought out the Rose Alchemy Oracle with it is because of the backs. I loved it so much in that reading that I didn't want to put it away, and I wasn't finished with the Cozy Witch Tarot either. So I took the Cozy Witch Tarot back to the caravan with me, but also this deck, and it was this pairing that made me double up the decks in my week ahead spread. Instead of doing that week ahead spread with one oracle and one tarot, I started doing it with 2 tarot and an oracle, which I did do a video about that, about how my week ahead spread had changed. And it was because of this. It was because of this pairing. I just thought this pairing was pure magic. I really loved it. So these two together, also again, I thought was just completely stunning. The message that I got from the reading I did at my altar was one of those jaw-dropping readings that kind of opens up a whole new way of thinking, which I often get with the Rose Alchemy Oracle, to be honest. If it comes out to play where we're really meaning business, or the tarot cards like roll their sleeves up and they mean business. And I loved it. Just such a beautiful combination. It was one of my divination highlights of the whole month. But we hit the ground running when we got home, because the third week of August saw me needing to get my middle daughter Poppy to London. So we had no time to catch our breath. We got back from Wales and it was immediately packing for London, because Poppy had won a scholarship to a summer medical school down in London. First time away from home, really exciting. So I had to drive down to London with her. But because Taylor Swift was in London, and me and Poppy are both absolute Swifties. We decided to go down a day early, and I booked an Airbnb in London just so that we could go and stand outside Wembley Stadium. Now, at no point did we realise that Wembley Stadium had put out on the news a call for people not to do that after the Vienna terrorist attack was discovered and stopped, thank goodness. Taylor Swift, if you don't know, she had to cancel all of her Vienna dates because of this. 3 nights got cancelled. The next nights were London, so they asked for no crowds to turn up, and they'd issued warnings that they would be moving crowds along. We hadn't seen the news. We'd been on beaches in Wales, so we turned up anyway. It was all fine. It was safe, thank goodness. But we had the most incredible evening, singing and dancing outside of Wembley Stadium. This is a song. When we first arrived, we got there late, unfortunately, we missed the opening, but this is me singing. Forgive the singing. When we first arrived, the singing is bad because we were actually in tears at this point. We were so overwhelmed. We got lost in translation. Maybe I asked for too much. Maybe this thing was a masterpiece. My goodness, it was so fantastic. I could cry now just even thinking about it. We walked around the back. There were fewer crowds around the back, although it did start to fill up when people realised how good the sound was where we were standing. We ended up marching up the road singing to The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived. We were doing choreography in the street. It was just so much fun. It was a shame I couldn't get tickets. I tried everything to try and get tickets for us. I just couldn't get us tickets that I could afford. But what a fantastic alternative when you've missed out on tickets, just to go outside and to hear that noise and to join in outside. I might be the oldest Swiftie on the block, but oh my goodness, did I enjoy it. And that wasn't the only amazing Swiftie thing we did. I also took Poppy for lunch down by the Black Dog pub in London. If you wonder why that is significant, this is the pub that Taylor Swift sings about in her song on her latest album called The Black Dog. So that was really exciting. And we also queued up in a crowd of thousands to get into the V&A to go and see all of Taylor Swift's famous outfits in the Invisible String exhibition that the V&A was holding. It was amazing, but look at the crowds that were trying to get in. Just incredible crowds everywhere, but we still loved every single moment of it. The crowds continued inside. The steady stream took the V&A some organising. So the exhibitions were all over the museum. You followed a route round. Look, there was the folklore cabin piano with the cardigan. I mean, if you're a Swiftie, these things are absolutely iconic. We had a little stop off in the jewellery room at the V&A. That was just too spectacular not to put our head into. And then soon we were back to some of their iconic looks from award shows and videos. It was just amazing. This is one of my all-time favourite Taylor Swift dresses. I'm so glad that was in the exhibition. But it was just so ram-packed. This is the reason actually why we were a bit late turning up at Wembley. It took us hours to get round the show, but it was worth it. We loved it. So just a random couple of days in London doing all Taylor Swift things. It was just so magical, and watching my middle daughter manoeuvre London, it just made me realise how grown up my children are now. I dropped her off the next morning at her summer school, and that was it. I was on my own in London to try and find my own way back and to relieve the dog sitter who I'd found to look after the dogs. So it was amazing. It was unexpected and it was amazing, and we loved it. I decided I wanted a change, and I spent some time working with the Mountain Dream Tarot, which is an amazing photography deck. One of the first photography decks that ever came out, and I paired this one with the Bug Tarot, which was a really interesting pairing actually. So the Bug Tarot has these backs. It is quite pippish at points, but it is there's still a lot in it, I find, to read with, and I just found that this combination was really interesting. I had quite the week ahead spread with this one. I had 2 5 of wands. In fact, these cards might be the ones I had on top. Yeah, look, there's the 5 in the bug. I had the Devil dragged over as my rollover card from the week before. I had the Tower. I had Death, which is a beautiful Death card in this tarot deck. It was quite the spread, to be honest, but I really liked these two together as well. It's definitely a combination I want to come back to, because I didn't quite get the full week working with these two. This was the week where I'd spent the first part of the week in London, and then coming back from London. So I, instead of pulling my week ahead spread on the Saturday morning, which is when I normally pull it, I think it was about Wednesday by the time I got to work with this spread. So it was only like a very short few days. Tuesday or Wednesday I think I pulled the spread. So not a lot of time to work with it, but definitely a combination that I want to go back to. So when I was working with this deck, I wanted a photographic oracle as well to work with the Mountain Dream Tarot. So these Sea Soul Journeys oracle cards I'd worked with the last week in July, and I loved them when I was working with all the watery decks. And I loved this deck. It was one of my favourite decks out of all of those water decks that I worked with. And I was just itching to get back to it. So because it's photographic, I thought I would put these two together. And these two as well, I thought they were a lovely combination. So there's more colour being introduced in with the Sea Soul Journeys oracle cards, but I didn't mind that, just because they were really talking nicely to each other. Look at that, gorgeous decks. I then had the rest of the week without the kids again, because they were back at their dad's while Poppy was in London, and I met up with a friend and we went to the very beautiful Whitley Court, which I've shown before on this channel. So we walked around the ruins, we did a little bit of ghost hunting as well. We sat and did a little magic spell by the fountains. We collected feathers in the garden, and just look at these incredible fountains. Whitley Court is a beautiful old court that was ravaged by fire, and it's now owned by English Heritage, and it's just a fantastic ruin. It certainly makes a gorgeous place to take a picnic and to explore this is the old orangery, I think this is, and joining off this there is a chapel, and you can see the damage that was done not only by fire but by people just then ripping the building apart. But enough remains, I think, to hold the most incredible atmosphere, and of course it comes with its own ghost story. At that door up on that second floor, builders here, although there is drops either side, saw crossing these windows the figure of a woman, and that's where the ghost here appears. There is no floor in that room anymore, it's all sealed off, and yet the figure walks backwards and forwards. This part of the building that joins onto a church. Next door to it is Whitley Church, which isn't owned by English Heritage, and we also went into Whitley Church, and I don't think I've shown the church before on here, but look at this. So past the spooky crypt, which of course we couldn't resist taking a peep through the metal bar and asking questions, you find this building, which when you walk inside it really does take your breath away. This is Whitley Church. It is still a working parish church for Sunday services and weddings, and yet look at it. It is anything but an unassuming little country parish church. It is quite spectacular, with the most incredible gilded and painted ceiling. So all of that adventure brings us up to the end of August now. The kids come back to me. The last 10 days of the summer holiday is really my chance to do school shoe shopping, school uniform shopping, getting Tilly ready to start college, which she's just done this week. There were new coats to buy and bags, all that normal going back to school or starting college stuff. So the kids kind of had a chill out week in amongst getting haircuts and going to the optician and buying new glasses. It wasn't really a chill out week. What am I even saying? It was frantic. There was lots of jobs to do. In amongst that week, Tilly really, all she wanted to do was go to the fair in Birmingham in Cannon Hill Park. They always have a little kids fair. Tilly loves it. She really wanted to go. I thought I could look at some art as well. So right at the end of the summer holiday, me and Tilly had a one-to-one girls' day out, having lunch, looking at art, and of course enjoying the fair. So this place, guys, is called the MAC, or the Midlands Arts Centre, and it's just on the edge of Birmingham, and it's fantastic. It's got the most beautiful huge park, which is full of memories for me, because I've done running races. Birmingham Half Marathon runs through the park as well, which I've done a number of times. And of course this is the place where there is a fair that Tilly absolutely adores. So we spent a morning here. There she is with her hood up over her head. She loved this spinning coaster. She went on there so many times. There she is in that second carriage. She isn't scared. She's pulling the hood over her head to get a full sensory impact of the spinning. She is absolutely fearless when it comes to any fairground ride, whether it be a kids ride or whether it be an adult ride. She's always fearless, and it's just a joy. Watching her on these rides was a joy. Then we headed into the MAC. There was this amazing exhibition of robots. It was incredible, and look at all of these plants in shoes. Another art exhibition. So I left Tilly waiting for pizza in the MAC restaurant, which you see here. While we were waiting for the food to come, I had a little run around the gallery space to see some of the robots in the exhibition, and we can't get far from the lady herself. This of course is Taylor Swift. Harry Styles also featured, as did Gordon Ramsay, and we had an Ed Sheeran. These two are Dolly Parton and Miley Cyrus. Also in the gallery space there was a lovely exhibition about motherhood. I loved these photographic prints onto fabric, and believe it or not, a Sheila and a gig featured, along with a spell to get rid of masculine energy in a house. The spell on the wall said to take images of the Sheila and a gig and hang them up alongside freshly washed female personal garments. Amazing. I just loved this so much. Around the back of this exhibit there was an exhibition based on female embroidery and bread, and it was just the most lovely exhibition. Any exhibition that explores motherhood, which has been one of my recurring themes in my own artwork, always I think is inspiring. I absolutely loved these modern takes on ancient embroidery. I loved that. But then of course we were straight back to the fair after lunch. Thank goodness Tilly's got a strong stomach. She just had the most wonderful day. What a great way to spend some time with my biggest girl in the last week of her holiday. Just loved every second of it. So it would also be really remiss of me to do an August Happies without talking about some of the things that I've watched on TV and some of the films we've watched, and also some games nights, because they've been moments where I've had some really lovely special one-to-one evenings with various ones of my kids, and it's just been so lovely. So first of all, the games we've been playing. My gosh, for Christmas last year I bought some board games, and we've had so much fun playing board game nights this summer, both at home and at the Caravan. It's been wonderful. So our favourite ones are these. We've been loving this Fortnite Monopoly. It's been so much fun to play. And then this Harry Potter Who Did It. This is just a brilliant game. It's you like playing bluffing people out and using skill, and it's not just a game of chance, this one. So we've enjoyed that one as well. And also some hysterical nights playing this Trivial Pursuits, which is made even more funny by the fact that I found it for £1 in a charity shop, and it is 20 years old, and a lot of the questions are questions from the time when I was younger, and it's just a very challenging Trivial Pursuit because it's so out of date, and we've loved it. The movies that we've watched on the nights where I've been without the kids and haven't been at the Caravan, I've been able to watch Netflix, and I have the most trashy taste in TV shows, really. I love shows like Love Island or Love is Blind, and I watched during August the whole season of Love is Blind UK, which I kind of watch it between my fingers because it's so cringeworthy, but I still love it. So I've really enjoyed watching that. Those are on nights when I'm by myself. Other nights where the kids have asked to watch films with me, it's been wonderful. Poppy wanted some film nights, so one night we watched a horror movie. We were in a horror movie mood, which is really unusual for us, and we watched this movie, which kind of was a bit too ridiculous to be scary. We both thought we would be scared after watching it, and both of us weren't really that scared, so that was a good thing. We also watched The Martian. I think it's called The Martian. Anyway, I'll put a screenshot of the film up here. That was really good. From a gardening point of view, I find it really inspirational. It's a guy that gets left behind on Mars without enough food to survive, and he has to find a way to survive before they can get back to him or get supplies to him. So It was against all odds kind of movie. It made me realise that I do find space incredibly terrifying, which is why astrology has never appealed to me. Good film, real lacklustre ending, but still we enjoyed it. It was a night me and Poppy just sat together and had a bit of time together and a laugh, really. At the Caravan, me and Tilly, we watched Tangled. We also watched Mamma Mia, the first movie, on repeat about 3 or 4 times. Absolutely loved it. Ended up dancing to ABBA a lot of evenings with Tilly and on my own. Really great. And then Busby asked for a movie night as well, which is really rare, and I loved that. Busby really wanted to watch Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and I sat and watched that with him, and he loved it, and he loved it so much he asked for the books. And it reminded me that I've got books in the series that I haven't read. On my bookshelf in the lounge I have all of the first 3 of Miss Peregrine's books. So this is the first one, and then it goes on to Hollow City, and then it goes to Library of Souls. If I keep books, you know I really enjoyed them, and I really enjoyed this series. I have read all 3 of those. I had forgotten that I brought the other 2 books in the series that came out later, and I haven't read them yet. So very excitedly grabbed these 2 off the shelves for myself. And Busby, who doesn't necessarily enjoy reading that much, asked if he could start reading them. He's already read this one. He's halfway through the second book, which makes my mama's heart really pleased to see him reading. He's really loving them too. My reading in August was just atrocious. I still haven't finished If Women Rose Rooted. I still haven't finished this one. Oh my gosh, I've done no reading at all. The 2 books I've got remaining for the Miss Peregrine series are now added onto the list as well. My reading was 0. Very rarely do you ever hear me say that I've had a month where I've read nothing, but this was one of those months. It's August, isn't it? It's summer holiday, it's August. All rules go out the window, but at least Busby did some reading, which is wonderful. So one of the most magical things I think about this August was the call of liminal space. Now, for me, liminal space isn't something really that I've thought about in my magic practice. In fact, I didn't even really think it was part of a magical practice until, of course, now I've started looking at it and researching it. I'm seeing it everywhere. It all started on that first trip in Wales with the kids on the 2nd week of August, when I was creeping out the van early morning so as not to wake the boys in the Caravan lounge, and walking across to the bathroom on the site rather than waking them up using the bathroom in the van. And I did that walk every morning barefoot across grass, only a short walk, but it was so impacting. A short grounding walk on grass every morning. It took my breath away, actually, how magical and impacting that felt. And it made me think, why would that be? And I began to think about the power of the earth coming up through the ground as kind of a liminal space, but turned vertically. And it's that got me thinking about liminal space, and that was it. It just appeared over and over again throughout the month, so much so that there's too much to talk about in this video, which is already incredibly long. I am going to do some videos about liminal space separately, but it was an amazing part of August, and it just seems really apt that at the end of August, on the last day of August, I took the kids out to visit the Great Maze of Worcester. So a maze. It wasn't until I arrived there and found myself standing in a holding space surrounded by various mazes that I thought, wow, this is the absolute definition of liminal space, a holding space in the middle of mazes. It was an amazing synchronicity that took my breath away right on the very last day of August. It was an amazing place with lots of different puzzles in the mazes for the kids to solve, and the most incredible cafe set up in this holding section in the centre. This was one walk that me and Tilly did. Tilly didn't really fancy the idea of the mazes, neither did I, to be honest. But there was this little walk through the maze to get to a sunflower field, which was way less scary than going into one of the bigger mazes. So me and Tilly did this, and it just blew my mind that I've been researching liminal space all week and then found myself here without even having thought about it. It was incredible, really, and I'd really wanted to see sunflowers again before the end of the summer holiday, and here we were on the last day of August with this beautiful sight in front of us, a whole field of sunflowers. So some in full bloom, some have gone over now, some still to come into flower as well. What a beautiful way to end a summer holiday with the children in liminal space, in magical liminal space, surrounded by flowers. It doesn't get any better than that, and a cafe with comfy sofas in a barn as well. Just to add to the joy, why not? But look at this, isn't this absolutely gorgeous? So Tilly kept me company while we were waiting for the others. We had some fantastic food. I was reading a witchcraft book, Tilly was playing games. Occasionally we wander out to see the sunflowers again, and it was a really lovely day out. I love mazes that are made of maize itself. It's a maze. That's where we were sitting. The other two of my kids took this video for me. This is a bridge they'd found in one of the bigger mazes. You can see just how big the mazes are when you get in. And it was wonderful. What an amazing summer holiday this year has been. It has been truly a blessing to have lived through this August with my beautiful kids. So with liminal space becoming more and more important as the month went on, for the final pairing in August, I thought I would bring out my Luminous Void Tarot. Of course, the images in this deck are kind of, they feel like liminal space. It's not quite solid ground. It feels like an in-between realm where something is there but not really there. It's that the in-between. And I love this watercolour art for that reason, and it's been really nice actually using this deck a little bit more. It was the first ever indie deck I ever treated myself to, and yet it's not had much use, so I decided it was time to put that right. I paired it in my week ahead spread with another deck for me that feels like liminal space. I don't know what it is about this Stolen Child tarot that feels like that for me. It feels like how I feel the coastline is liminal space, where air meets water. I think it's more elemental the way this one feels like liminal space, and I think you see it there, look at that. So I put these two together as the two working tarot decks in my week ahead spread, and then I pulled other readings off that spread as well, and I really loved them together. Both of these decks were decks that were much anticipated in my collection, and yet both have haven't had the use that they want. This card kept coming out all the time, and it made me smile that a frog, when I was using them because of liminal space pulling me, would come out so much, because a frog can go on land and water, and I just thought that was a really telling card to come out. So yeah, these two were really lovely to work with. I think they just look so beautiful together. And the Oracle deck that I paired with it was the Faceted Garden Oracle. I just thought visually these might go nicely together as well, and I think they do. I thought that there are moments where these cards sitting next to each other did really take my breath away. And look at that, it's just so beautiful. So this was the very last week of my practice, my divination practice was with these decks. In fact, I've actually kept out the Luminous Void deck. It's a deck that I'm still working with. It's not been put away yet, so I'm having fun with it. Oh wow, look at these. They look amazing. And that incredible High Priestess card. So yeah, those are the decks that I've absolutely loved this month. That's it, guys. If this video is under an hour by the time I've edited it, I will be amazed. So if you're still here at the end, oh my goodness, thank you so much. If you're still here, leave me a sun emoji and then I'll know you made it to the very end. But it was wonderful, and I hope that you enjoyed me sharing it. So the magic of stones, the magic of liminal space, the magic of gratitude, the magic of rest and allowing joy in when you're not resting, and also grounding practices as well. They've all been there, along with using water, using earth in magic. It's been incredible. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is that candle spell, which when I checked my camera reel, it was August, but I think this video is way too long. So also leave me a candle emoji if you would like me to share a separate video about that candle magic and tarot. So guys, thanks so much for watching. I cannot believe we're in September. Where has this year gone? It has just flown by. I hope your year is panning out as a magical one too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.